Hi everybody, I hope you're having a great day. In this video I'm going to be covering inFamous. He made his first appearance in the video game for PlayStation 3 in May of 2009, but his first appearance in comic books was DC Comics' inFamous in March of 2011, and he has short, light brown hair with grayish blue colored eyes. His real name is Cole MacGrath, but he also goes by the aliases inFamous, Kessler, and Electric Man. Now this short comic series takes place in between of the events of inFamous and inFamous 2, which were video games produced by Sucker Punch Productions company. An interesting thing about the character Cole is that his appearance and powers can change due to the choices you make in the game. I personally have always liked games that have these divergent storylines. But if you remain good or neutral, you keep most of his normal appearance, which would mean that his skin remains flush and normal looking, as well as keeping the black and yellow jacket that he typically wears. Also, the electricity that his body can produce keeps a light blue coloration. Now on the flip side of this, the more evil you choose in the game, his appearance becomes more pale, his outfit changes, and his body's electricity can range anywhere from being red to black with red hues. That being said, the comic book storyline comes from a good to neutral viewpoint. Now Cole's powers originated from a large explosion that was called the Blast in the center of the historic district of Empire City. He survived the blast and strangely began to gain electokinetic powers. His body behaved like an electrical battery and could store huge amounts of power that he could then discharge at will. At first, he was shown to only be able to store a certain amount of power that comes from outside sources, such as electrical power lines or cars, but couldn't generate his own power. It's later shown that he could have learned to generate his own power by the video game inFamous 2, since he didn't need to absorb power during his battles with the Beast in Empire City and New Marius. He's able to charge up handheld objects to increase their striking power, similar to feats we see from the Marvel character Gambit, and due to the electricity in his body, his internal systems process damage a lot more quickly than normal people, which gives him a healing factor. He's shown taking multiple rounds of automatic gunfire, falling from great heights, and surviving attacks from other superpowered beings. Cole also has the interesting ability to read a recently dead person's brain patterns to glimpse their last moments, and can also temporarily track people by the electromagnetic aura that they leave behind. He can semi-fly, as I call it, or glide for great distances using an ionic wind-based power called static thrusters. But he cannot be submerged in water. Any body of water that's about the size of a lake or larger will instantly kill him. And even waist-deep water will continually shock him and cause massive damage. But he can stand water just enough to drink it and to take showers. Cole is also shown to have temporarily gained a freezing cryokinetic ability and a napalm-like pyrokinetic ability. This is due to him absorbing the powers of the NSA agent Lucy Kuo and the swamp dweller named Nyx. And funny enough, for one night during a festival of blood, Cole is bitten by a vampire and he gains vampiric powers alongside his usual ones. Now, originally Cole MacGrath had an average life. He had a girlfriend named Trish and they roomed with his best friend named Zeke. He had a passion for parkour training and urban exploration, as well as having a steady job in all 3 districts as a bicycle delivery man. But one day this life changed when, at the request of a mysterious customer, Cole delivered a package to the historic district, only to have it explode in his hands. The aftermath of this huge explosion was a mile-wide crater and dozens of people dead. Amazingly, Cole woke up after the explosion, being burned and scarred, but alive. He crawled through the rubble and made his way to the Neon District, rejoining with Trish and Zeke. Once there, he collapsed from exhaustion and was taken to the hospital. But after only 1 week, all of his wounds were totally healed. In addition to this, when he woke up, his body began spontaneously generating electricity. He gradually learned how to control his electrical discharges and even started using them to his advantage. During this same time, though, the climate in Empire City was getting much worse. It seemed as if the explosion had caused some citizens to start going crazy. Riots, murders, and other types of crime started to escalate out of control. This quickly prompted the government to quarantine the entire city to prevent the unknown madness from escaping. But being cut off caused the conditions in Empire City to get even worse. At that point, different groups of armed militia gained control of the 3 different districts. Cole and Zeke ended up going to a rally against the quarantine. And after an intervention by the police, Cole was separated from Zeke and captured by a mysterious woman named Moya. She claimed to be an FBI agent and explained what happened to him. She said that the package contained an object called a ray sphere, and that this was an electronic device that contained an unknown energy source. She told Cole that he was what's known as a conduit, which is a life form with the potential to develop superhuman powers. This ray sphere was designed to accelerate the powers in a conduit, making them manifest much earlier on in their lives. It did this by siphoning off the bioenergy from nearby humans and channeling all of it into nearby conduits. Moya said that her supposed husband, John, was looking for the ray sphere but disappeared. She also promised Cole that she could get him out of there if he finds John and the sphere for her. Cole agrees and starts his investigation by restoring blacked out sections of the different districts, coming in contact with large amounts of electricity and learning new powers along the way. He ends up fighting against the Reapers, which are hooded gang members in control of the Neon District. Their leader, who was a conduit named Sasha, acquired mind control powers from the ray sphere, and she can secrete a black tar-like substance that makes people go crazy. This is actually what had caused the craziness that had prompted the quarantine. He then beats Sasha only to see her get taken away by the First Sons, which is a privately owned and organized militia. Their leader, a man named Kessler, encounters Cole and telepathically shows him visions of the future, countries being in ruins, millions dead, and Kessler himself being directly involved. Cole vows to track down the First Sons and put a stop to their plans. Eventually, Kessler actually calls Cole and challenges him to a fight wherein the sphere was activated by him. The two of them do battle, and they both show incredible displays of power. But in the end, Cole is the winner as Kessler's age works against him. With his dying act, Kessler sends images of his own past into Cole's mind. It turns out that Kessler is actually an older version of Cole from the future. In his timeline, he married Trish and had 2 children. But when the First Sons finally used the ray sphere, a conduit named The Beast emerged with such power that it was uncontrollably insane and destructive. He was actually on the verge of totally destroying the modern world, and Cole knew that he could have stopped the Beast in the beginning, but instead of fighting, he fled with his family. In spite of this, the Beast eventually caught up with him and killed Trish and their daughters. This was the spark that made Cole attempt to time travel and set things right. He went all the way back to the beginning of the First Sons in the Victorian Age. Taking the alias Kessler, he gained command and quickened the development of the ray sphere, making it usable much earlier on. Matter of fact, he was the one who had commissioned his past self to deliver the package and subsequently activate the sphere. And along the way, it was he who tried to prompt Cole into being more powerful and triumphant in all of his battles. Doing all of this so he'd be strong enough to defeat the Beast. As Kessler died, Cole struggled with the web of lies that was his life. He also made a personal vow that when the Beast appeared, he'd be ready to fight him. But as I stated earlier, you can take divergent paths in the game, and all of this, including the Beast himself, is intertwined and very suspicious. Now once again, to reiterate, this comic series fills the gap between games, similar to Star Wars Rogue One, but it generally follows the continuity that's already established while introducing another powerful antagonist. It's shown that while Kessler was in the past, working with Moya, he reveals that one of his test subjects, named David, was exposed to the ray sphere 11 times. He explains to her that each exposure to the ray sphere unlocks a new ability within a conduit, and that David has become massively powerful. But during that same night, the test subject David escaped from the First Sons research facility and seeks refuge at his home, only to find his wife dead from a drug overdose. Being enraged and blaming the First Sons for him not being there, David begins to seek revenge on Cole, who he believes is Kessler in disguise. This is the underpinning of this comic series, and it marks the beginning of an embroiled rivalry between the two. Now, due to his powers and abilities and his influence on the DC universe, for my 1 to 10 rating, I'll give inFamous a rating of 5, which is an enigmatic rating. I hope everyone enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you next time. Be sure to like and subscribe to The New Sage.